Outback Australia is battling an ecological disaster. According to today's estimate, 750,000 feral camels are roaming wild, and there's a warning they could change the environment so fundamentally that dust clouds could envelop Sydney. In fact, some estimates put the number of camels at 1 million, maybe even more. Whatever their exact number, for traditional owners, they're destroying sacred sites, and farmers are finding it hard to manage their stock. While it's agreed feral camels are changing life in the centre, a row's brewing between pastoralists and traditional owners about managing the pests. Environment reporter Conor filed this report from Uluru for Lateline. And a warning, the story contains some coarse language.
It's the ancient heart of the continent, and a vista that's inspired and captivated for millennia. But now signs warn of a foreign invader that's made itself at home. They roam in the shadows of Uluru, and large herds are spreading ever further.
Well, the scale of the problem's huge. I'd love to sit here and tell you they can be eradicated, but our history with all sorts of other invasive species is such that I don't actually believe that's achievable.
Now, years ago, I was only shooting maybe 200 a year. Now I'm shooting between 1,800 and 2,000 a year. Once where we used to see a bull camel with 15 or 20 cows and a few calves, we're now seeing groups of up to 80 bulls.
Aerial surveys have put camel numbers as high as 1 million, with herds 10 times as large as this one roaming the landscape. But they blend in so well that some say the true figure could be much higher, and with no natural predator to thin the herds, the outbacks become their paddock.
If these camels increase in numbers to such an extent that they create a lot of denuding of the landscape, which they can do when Australia's very dry, the dust will turn up in Sydney, and that's not going to be very pleasant for anybody.
For now, the damage is being felt much closer to home. Traditional owner and artist Rene Kulitja gave Lateline a rare visit to a sacred site. Called Wallace Spring, it's the only reliable water for about 100 kilometres. Camels are drinking it dry and making it unsafe for humans to drink. It's hard for Rene Kulitja to continue cleaning Walla, but she sticks with the back-breaking work. Government scientists Jane Brimbox and Pat Hodgins are chipping in and regularly come to check on Walla.
There's been a heck of a lot here.
They're shocked by the damage the camels have done to their remote sensor cameras. Their vision shows the camels spending entire days at the springs, plundering the precious water so crucial to native wildlife.
What's going to happen as it dries out, and it eventually will, we'll just have, I call it Dante's ecological inferno, and I've seen it firsthand that in point places like this the impacts are profound, but these places are so remote from cities and they're such small places that it's really hard to get that message out, that the local damage can be profound.
As big as the camel numbers out here are now, the conditions out here are just so perfect for camels that most experts agree the herds are going to get even bigger and there'll be even more camels in the outback. That's also bad news for local cattle producers Lindy and Ashley Severin. Their ability to control their herd of prime steers over a huge station has been made harder by the camels, and the bill's already running to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
The feral camels are our biggest issue. They're our biggest management issue in running the entire property. So the station is just over 1 million acres in size. We're heading out towards the Western Australia border in the NT. We're in marginal country at the best of times.
Ashley Severin's had to replace hundreds of kilometres of fencing and make it bigger and camel-proof.
So we built it this high. He says, oh, geez, yeah. He comes along to a cattle fence and says, oh, what's that? Oh. Through it goes. So we built it this high. He says, oh, geez, yeah.
This harsh, remote country may be great for camels, but that distance and lack of development mean Ashley Severin's trial at making money out of the ferals didn't add up. He says herding wild animals and building special enclosures and trucks to transport them is too expensive.
I can't control the camels. So why am I going to buggerise around and put a camel behind wire or in a yard to get $200? Only costs you $1.75 for a bullet.
There should be, and there must be, and there will be camel industry based around meat, fat, hide, toenails, milk, but it can only viably be based on a domesticated animal.
The Severins feel their management efforts are being frustrated by the neighbours.
We uphold or try to uphold our end of the bargain. We can't keep up with what happens on Aboriginal land because they don't have to be responsible to anyone. And I'll bet you don't put that in the fucking film.
Many seasons are likely to pass before Central Australia comes to grips with the problem. But the manager of the CAMEL program says collaborations are forming and a huge amount of work has gone into getting permission to cull right across this vast landscape.
The actual land clearances, which are enormous, to get landholders individual permission to work on their country over 3.3 million square kilometres is massive. There are 75,000 less camels than there were.
Plenty more changes ahead for a silent witness that's already seen many of them. Conor, Late Line.